humor.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that's very typical in very stressful conditions, that you use humor as a way to cope with the situation. Yeah, and it's not meant in an unkind way, but from an external person looking, it may seem unkind, but often it's just the people that are in it understand it, so it's not necessarily that, but it does mean that, you know, it's limited. It's like 3-letter acronyms, you know, like when I know my sister-in-law, who's a nurse, always talks about, she goes into all sorts of things, like saying a UTI, or she'll go into all of these things, and I know that, you know, most people don't understand what they are, and it kind of keeps you in this group. It kind of bonds you in a particular way, which is interesting. Yeah. Hello, everybody. I see we're live.
We are live for a while already, but
I know. But I thought I'd say hello now, just in case anyone is on and they want to say hello. So I'm going to just go into the app and just have a look at my
yeah. So hello, everybody. We have already started with the British sense of humor, our conversation. And I was just saying, like, this is one of the things I fell in love with, because I lived like altogether 11 years, like in Britain, and 4 of them in Cardiff, Wales. And I used to love the British sense of humor. And I mentioned that I worked 4 years in a hostel with homeless young people. And as you can imagine, it could be very harsh, because you experience all kinds of very harsh destinies of those young people. And my manager is still one of my best buddies. And when I visited her last year, we actually celebrated into this year together. And she has got such a great sense of humor. And I always admired that in the harshest situations, what gets you going is this kind of humor.
Laughter. Yeah.
And the laughter, because this sustains everything. So thank you for bringing the humor in. I think I can take some of that in my harsh situation at the moment.
Yeah.
Not just like to laugh. Yes.
Yeah. So yes, we are here, our last day before Christmas.
Yes, our last day, our last Beregini, the 27th already. Can you believe that we have been together like every day for 27 days? It's almost a whole month.
It is. And it's just been a joy, actually. It's been a joy to just meet 27 days in a row. How often do you get that opportunity to meet someone 27 days in a row?
Especially not live. This is my first one. I've done lots of times like challenges where you do like 21 days at least, or even longer, and that, but I never done it live. So that was my premiere.
Yeah. It's a very big commitment, isn't it? It's all sorts of things that go on, and particularly right at the very beginning, I did go, "Ooh, this is going to be interesting." But you know, as we got into the flow, which was really good, you start to get a momentum, and I think that's a kind of important thing for life, really. As you get into flow, momentum starts to carry you, and so it's been a really lovely time. Yeah. So yeah, and we have, what's we got today? The Eternal Ruler.
The Eternal Ruler. It's one of my 7 ones. She's at the bottom, at the roots of my dress.
Yeah.
That's
so
how
she's
she looks.
Holding you.
She's holding me, yes.
Yes. Nice.
And of course, she's like the last one. So she contains all the previous energies.
And she just homes in, it looks like. Very nice.
Very, very powerful one.
Yeah.
Should I read out the affirmation?
Wait a minute. Let's just get it started, ready and steady and ready, go.
So the most powerful or the eternal ruler for wealth and abundance. Affirmation: I accept and receive inner and outer abundance. For protection of house and other material things, or protection against negative energies. I will take in the supporter from yesterday, and her, I feel already strongly into my healing path emerging. That will be very powerful one.
And yes, it will be. So when you say you using the supporter and it's emerging and coming to the healing, how are you doing that? How's that? What kind of togetherness is that?
Well, because I see the interconnectedness between everything.
Mm-hmm.
There is obviously no coincidence that it was the day when I received the news from yesterday with the cancer, that it was the day of the supporter. And what she brought up for me was like lots of crying and grief, which came up, which is a natural response. But also like this, the laugh around it. And it's like many people say, with the crying and the laughing eye. And yesterday I fell asleep with this beautiful ritual of Michael Meads in the darkness singing, when he reads about all those like notes people sent to him about people who passed, and they wrote their own prayers for people who passed, and he was doing always like a mantra which comes from Africa. It's like Akimo, Akimo. So he really held space for each of the people, like of the energies. It was very moving. It was so touching. And it was natural to just cry. He was also constantly just crying. And like you were saying, it's a natural thing in life. You hold space to grieve, and because you're alive, simply for the fact that you're alive, and then you put candles for everyone as well, you also naturally feel the joy coming at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's the heart of the supporter yesterday, because the heart can contain everything. And it's not like getting stuck with one emotion, but welcome everything in. So it started like for over an hour to receive the grief, and then it went over to put on the lights and singing also for the souls like us who are still alive. And then the joy starts coming in. And yes, I really like this ritual a lot. And it helps me at the moment. And the supporter kind of brings exactly the same energy. And today, the eternal ruler as the last day, but showing me the future at the same time. Because she's one of my Bereginis. And and there's already a lot of things have emerged to show me, like from my soul level, where I feel the call for my own journey, healing journey, and has always come up with the Kazakhstan. This is something my mom, she did not survive cancer, and I always feel her saying me that she was not able to connect with her family in Kazakhstan. She was not able to fully fulfill her life's purpose. And I hear the call like stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And I feel this is my path. I cannot delay it any longer. And it was not coincidence. I was actually writing with my aunt in Kazakhstan yesterday when I was waiting for the report.
Yeah.
I was sending her the beautiful pictures of my little nephew. Is it nephew or cousin who was born?
Your nephew. Yeah.
My nephew.
Your nephew.
And literally, whilst I was like sending her all the nice pictures and everything, I was put like called into the doctor's room, and then I received the news And when I came out, she was also the very first person, like from this very joyful moment of sharing the baby's pictures to...
I'm on the line.
Yeah.
That's all right. Andrew was just wanting to come into the room.
Okay. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the next moment, from this joyful news of sharing the pictures of my nephew, I received those news. And she was the very first person who really, like, from this most joyful moment to this, like, absolute sadness. And I'm very aware about this moment, like, who was there on the other end? It was my auntie, yeah, in Kazakhstan, who follows my path, like, since 2017, when I reconnected with my ancestors there. And I tell her everything. And I really feel that my partner, my healing, my future lies in Kazakhstan. Because I just love the mountain, I love the herbs, I love the food. I feel the most powerful there. Yeah. So that has come up to me since yesterday. And I will develop my own unique healing journey. And I'm very careful listening always, like, what is emerging to me. And the internal ruler was always connected to me, to being the master on the mountain in Kazakhstan, to be the master of my own soul path, which takes also a lot of adventure to go back. Like, nobody I know has ever turned back to Kazakhstan. Never.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that's what's emerging to me at the moment. And it's like I have to be my own ruler of my own world, of my own path. Otherwise, it's going to call it. I mean, what can be more stronger than a call like, oh my God, cancer in the last stadium, you know, what my mom had. Yeah. She didn't survive. I mean, for me, it's very obvious, actually. Yeah. That I'm there to complete what she was not able to complete. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for people also to realize that, you know, it's a word, not a sentence. It's a word in a sentence. Yeah. But it's not a sentence. So it's not finite. There's nothing about it. It's what you use and how you continue the sentence. Yeah. That makes sense.
Now, what do you mean by the sentence exactly?
Yes, I wondered. I thought for a minute you might not. So a sentence, you know, we write a sentence. Yeah, and you put the full stop where you put the full stop. You make the sentence as long as you want to make it. You make the sentence run in your story. Cancer is just one word in that story. In that sentence, it's not a sentence in English and other. So it's got two words. A sentence is like when you're punished, your sentence at a judgment. Yeah. So it has one word meaning that way, a judgment, or it is a meaning of the literal word of writing. So you have two. So when I said it's a word, not a sentence, it's not a sentence. It's not a decision that's finite. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's what I'm meaning. It's a word within your sentence, within your story, within how you write it. That's the difference. So it's a play on words. It's a word. It's a play on words. Yeah. So the word there's two different meanings for the same word.
True. Well, thank you for clarifying that. That makes a lot of sense now. I'm writing my own story, isn't it? And I put my own full stops where I feel that
where
that's
you want it.
The right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's So the whole thing is it's not cancer full stop. Yeah. It's not that. It's cancer and.
Yeah.
Whatever comes after that. Yeah. So it's a little word. It's not anything in the grand scheme of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. That feels much more aligned how I feel about things. And And
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
important. Like yesterday, I posted on Facebook, the quote by Albert Einstein. He said the most important decision you make in life is to decide whether the universe is friendly or not. And that's the key.
Mm.
And I always feel that the universe is friendly, and there's always something to learn from it. Even if it's not in this life, it could be in another life. So it's not to be
Yeah.
afraid, because this is the worst thing what can happen. You get afraid and you give up, or you become a victim. And then you're really in your own entrapment. Then you're not your
Yeah.
ruler.
Yeah.
No, you are then in the prison. And this is what I'm always very careful of, not falling into.
And I love that you say that, because that's so important, which is we have to be aware of the falling into and how do we move out of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So being so acutely aware, where is it emerging and where do I move it on so that it's not part of my story anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And energy is energy.
Yes.
The only reason energy has a negative is because we've given it a negative thought. Yeah, basically that's all. We create the thought, not the universe doesn't create the thought.
Mm.
We create thought because we're physical, but it's just energy, and it has information within that energy, but it's not the same as the way humans think about energy.
Yeah. Yeah. And like my friend told me as well yesterday, I mean, I'm now already receiving so many advice. So this is, of course, part of every new beginning. And I'm just listening and let it sink in. But he said something which stayed with me, that this is the beginning of the new age. And where
Yeah.
things like that can also heal very quickly, because we are now in the air age. And and yeah, and this is also not a coincidence. It's just a lot of times to make it really aware that how things come like wind. If you put your intention on the right thing, or like on the right healing path, it can really go like this, like the healing as well.
Mm.
And that's how I feel as well. So it's like the thoughts, like you say, we give it meaning, and we can change it very quickly, or we can stay in something very, very long.
And it is a choice to believe it is a choice to believe that it is a loving universe, because if we allow that to be a loving universe, then it means that we're more likely to work towards it, and we're more likely to listen to it in whatever way it's allowing itself to show itself. But if we're afraid, we don't believe it's a friendly universe, then we won't get those messages that we need to get. We'll only get the things that will limit us in our old patterns. So we won't see new. So the great thing is, as your friend said, yes, if we believe that this is a very fast age now where things happen instantaneously, yeah, then that's what we believe is a possibility, and it's possible.
Yeah,
And
and
then it's
everything
about
can happen.
what allows it. Yeah. And then
Everything
it's
can
about
happen.
what do I need to. Exactly. And so then I guess for what's important is that we recognize is what do we need to do to allow that to happen fast. So it's what's the action we're going to do in order to create that. Because it can happen, but it's not going to happen without us doing something. Whatever
It
that
depends,
something is. It
because
may
some
be that
things.
you get on the first plane to Kazakhstan.
Sorry?
It may be that you jump on the first plane to Kazakhstan. You never know. It may be whatever your impulse is that comes into play. Yeah.
Yes. But my experiences coming from the weird is, first of all, it is listening. It's not doing. It's really listening what is emergent. And then the next step is the action, like the right action.
Yeah.
But for me, it's still the mode like now listening. It's like going really deep into the darkness Yeah, like since this news yesterday, and listening what is emerging. And I actually feel that the most healing happens in the field of not doing. It's
Oh yeah.
really just receiving, like now, what is coming true. And then it could be one action, could be some action. Yeah, we don't know. It could happen really quickly. And then do that. Yeah, so at the moment, and now with the Christmas period and stuff, that's good. Because now the Christmas, the Holy 12 Christmas days also start. I will go completely offline, and so it's the best time now to go inside.
Yeah.
And just listen. And yeah, yeah. But I made the decision already that I'm not going to fall victim or get scared of it and everything. No, because everything I've chosen as a soul anyway for all this life, all those experiences. So the path is already in me. All the solutions are already in me. So yeah, let's see. Could be also exciting. Maybe not as joyful sometimes, but also curious how it will develop.
Yeah. And on one level, it's thank goodness it's happened now, rather than at a time when you wouldn't be able to do this. So yeah, it's happened at the right time. Not that it's the right time to ever have this, but if it's going to happen, God forbid. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like if it has happened, 10 years ago or whatever, you wouldn't have had the resources you have now to be able to deal with it. You wouldn't have listened probably and just said, I'm going into the weird, and to wait and to get the real bit of knowledge that I need to make one small action at the end of it. Maybe you don't even need to maybe make many, just the one which you'll be told what to do.
Yeah.
And you wait for that.
Yeah. I will wait for that. Exactly. Yeah. So should we welcome in the eternal ruler?
Please, let's welcome in her.
I mean, you're already here, already the eternal ruler. I'll put some light on. And I'm also amazed how the candle just was like for those 27 days. It's like
it lasts exactly.
It lasts exactly
Perfect.
This time. The flames are, when it starts, it's still
it's there.
quite small. But it will be bigger, I think.
Well, as the candle melts a little bit, it'll burn that fuel around it.
Yeah, I think so too. So may all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all beings remain free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings remain connected to sacred joy and happiness that is totally free from sorrow. May all beings come to rest in feeling of security and peace and health. May all beings be happy, content, fulfilled, and healthy.
And so it is.
And so be it.
So we've got Shelley, who says, she leaves a message here for you, which is, your positive nature is a beautiful light. You are truly a lovely example of a brave warrior, eternal ruler. Thank you for sharing your light.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you for witnessing.
Yeah.
It's in the witnessing and in the sharing. It's a co-creation thing. Because without the sharing and witnessing, it's a very lonely game. So thank you. We need each other. It's a matter of fact.
And Barbara, hello, you're here. She's watching. I don't know. She hasn't actually put anything down, but she's here. So we welcome you too, Barbara.
Oh, Barbara. Like Barbara McSabat yesterday, who mentioned his
Yes.
birthday was yesterday.
Good. Right. So Sherry says, you're welcome. I'm honored.
Yeah. Honored to carry also the name of Barbara. Beautiful name.
Yeah. Good. So I'll just quickly show you what's come up. It's basically blue and green. We've had the blue and green stripe before. So we've got the green over here and more blue, sort of whitish, sort of around on the edges. So yeah, and I always, and it feels quite etheric still. So more in the sense of a realm of more spiritual realms. So that's what it feels like for me. And the blue is going more towards the indigo. So this third eye, yeah, voice third eye. And the green is quite bright. So it's going to be sort of connection between the solar plexus and the green of the.
I think it feels very similar like yesterday. Only that the circle, the aura circle is even bigger.
Yeah.
You look around it.
Yeah. It's the circle's right round. You can see it's just on the edges. Whereas one of the previous ones we could literally see it like an eye, which is almost like looking in a fish glass kind of thing. It was very beautiful. Well, let's see what happens once we're balanced. And let's go in. Let it do its Fibonacci balancing.
Okay. So would we like to do the oracle first or the tarot?
Yes, let's do the oracle. Let's have the oracle speak to us.
Well, I just picked this card while we were talking. Completion.
Ooh, oh my God, that's a good card. Isn't that beautiful?
Snake, which came up so many times throughout our times together.
Yes. Beautiful. Oh,
and there's a heart in the middle.
Yes, I was just busy looking at that.
And they're like
actually
DNA going up there.
It actually looks like a uterus to me. That's kind of a little like a uterus. But it also looks like, for me, there's a heart, but when I'm looking at it, it almost looks like two birds or two people being held, and you've got the uterus around them. That's what it feels like for me. And then like a woman holding is the image I'm seeing. Maybe because I'm looking further away, but I don't know whether you see that. Because you saw the heart, but if you look at the heart, in the heart there's what looks like two fetuses or two, and then underneath you see something white, and that feels like the continuation of a uterus.
It could be a uterus. I certainly can see a uterus as well.
And we're talking about birthing, and yesterday we had the arch of the pentacles.
Yeah, the feathers. It looks like a nest as well, like the.
Yeah.
Is this like the new consciousness, this Christ consciousness, which is being born with the Star of Bethlehem and everything, which is happened on Monday in the Great Conjunction. And of course, like the completion always starts a new cycle at the same time.
Yeah. It's an end and a beginning.
And like the Time Master already told us, there is no time, there's no end to begin it. There's just an illusion. Outside of time, everything is interconnected. So it looks like a rainbow snake as well, and we spoke about this
Yes, I was busy
rainbow
looking at that. Yes.
snake and this god of Fishicus, who is the snake god. It's actually an Aboriginal rainbow snake god.
All right.
And the rainbow snake, in, in the knowledge of Aborigines, she's birthing the new earth, isn't she? Or she has born the
Yeah.
earth. That's how their creation story, what is this about? And we talked about the Aborigines at the Uluru on Monday,
Yes.
who opened the box, which stands for the birth of the new age. And here we have it in a, in this beautiful image.
Mm. Very beautiful. I wonder, I mean, the creator of the cards, I think, has done a huge amount of detail in looking at things, because it doesn't look typically Aboriginal. A lot of the Aboriginal art is more Dreamtime kind of stuff, but this is quite different, and yet it shows amongst that there's, that there are these kinds of, not myths, but these essences of different forms throughout all our cultures. That's deep within our psyche.
Yeah, and they're like the mystical shaman oracle cards. And I mean, that's what shamanism is about for me, because it incorporates all different dimensions and worlds. And shaman is a Siberian world.
Yeah.
And this is someone who travels between worlds, and he's transmitter. He's translating and transmitting different, or communicates between different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all colors, all forms, everything is
Everything
contained
emanates.
in this. That's why it's always so deep with symbolism. Wow, what a powerful card, huh?
It is a very powerful card to have for the last day. I mean, how is that? I mean,
Amazing.
So,
And look, it's the number 9. So number 9, of course, completes a cycle before something new can arrive.
Exactly. The 10 is the beginning and the end. So, yeah, the start.
Wow. Perfect card. I know there's no perfection, but sometimes it is.
Sometimes it just does work that way, doesn't it? You want to do a root?
Yes. Isa again.
All right.
We had it already twice before, so this is the third time round that Isa comes.
The magical number 3.
The magical number 3, third time she comes. And it's like, stands for identity. And of course, this whole rebirth is also about looking through the illusions of our identity. We a lot of time over-identify ourselves with our identity, which is ego and so many different roles we play in life. And a true master uses the identity which we all have in our body forms, but doesn't get stuck in this identity. And this age of this new Christ consciousness wants to show us that we are so much more than our identities. So I think it fits very well with this completion of a cycle where we are over identified with our ego selves. This can go now, and we can rest more in our essence, which is our divine selves.
And that's an interesting, I guess what that kind of brings up, or what emerges for me, is a little bit like when we call ourselves, well, I'm a destiny weaver, or I am statement, that is so much how people know to come and see us or be with us or work with us, or advertising in essence. And how do we hold that identity, and how do we learn how to move within those identities, which I think is quite an important thing that's coming up, just sort of emerging as we're thinking about this and the new era where we're going transpersonal. So we're going beyond identity into a different realm. And I guess part of something, maybe when we think about, countries like certainly Taiwan, and that where the collective is more important than the individual. There's something about, we became very individual, and there's a lot of resistance in a way to go towards back to the collective. And yet this is where the movement's pushing us, because we have to have and go through that area of the collective. And I'm guessing it's been collective, individual, collective through, I don't know, well, how much, time,
creation,
infinite time where it's happened. And maybe that's part of, the what we call the where you have the kind of a, where you have divergence and you have convergence, divergence, convergence, divergence. And I'm wondering if that is, always the natural order of things. Because have you ever watched Joe Dispenza? He has or where they have things that are disharmonious, and you put them together and they come into synchronicity. And they do that for a while, and then they become out of synchronicity again, and then they go back into synchronicity. And I wonder if that's the natural order of all energy, which is to create and decreate, because that's what exists all the time. And part of this new age is learning our lessons and how to decreate, in essence, how to take away from the personal and become more of the collective. So to sheathe ourselves, in essence, to a higher purpose, a higher state of being.
Yeah, and that's the complexity of life, because we need to go to the ego states and the identity states to get to the essence of things. And only from the essence can you create the highest states of co-creation. I mean, Barbara Marx Hubbard, she has written lots of books about that. And her wheel of co-creation for me has been very inspirational. And she talks also in these different cycles, like we all start as babies, we form for the first time around 18 months, and we look at ourselves in the mirror, we for the first time feel separated from the mother. This is where the ego selves, like babies, they're totally egoistical. It's all about me and building our ego first. So these are the first years.
Yeah.
And then we spend like our most adult years until around 30, 40 or so, build our identity. This is built on roles, like, like we have got so many things which build our identity through numerology, the rune. There are so many tools to figure out your identity. And you need that. It's like she has got the process like in circles. Like the most outer circle is the ego self. And then you travel into the next circle of identity self. And then you travel to the middle, to the center, which is your essence. And she just explained it so like around 40 years, you go from the outside, from the ego, to identity in. And once you connect with your essence, your real I, which is in the essence always connected with the essence of the divine, then it is alive from the inside out. But it's like the integral way is also, you have to integrate those other experiences to get to the essence. Otherwise, it's not stable. Somebody who is always in a naive childlike state is missing the other ripening experiences of the identity, which we as souls, we actually descend to make all those experiences to then return to who we really are. And she explained it to me in a way for the first time that I understood it. Oh my God, I needed the masks and all this like wheels and in my whole life to be able to then center myself and again and get who am I really? Who am I in this moment when I'm in my essence? And for that, we need this identity. Very important part of our human experience on this earth. And then from I, you go to I am. And am is one of the oldest sounds in the universe. It's the Om. Yeah. It's the very first sound.
Yeah.
And then the I, the identity, rests in the
Om.
In the all. And then that's why chanting I am is so powerful, because that the divine can really weave through us.
Very powerful.
Yeah, we're almost an hour. We have not even started embroidering today.
I know.
What kind of tarot cards have we got today?
Well, interesting. We've got the tarot, which is the 7. The 7 of Wands, by the way. So it's definitely one of your cards. It's the 7 of Wands, Venus of the living fire, the alchemy of the 7 of Wands. And it sits in Netzach. So that's why it's Venus, because it's sitting in Netzach. You can see the Venus sign in it, where the triangle is. And it's the fire of earth. Yeah. So it's earth. It's the fire of earth in Venus. And Venus, the number 7 is all to do with our embodied feeling. Yeah, it's to deal with that. And the 7 of Wands, as you know, that it really is about just going through all kinds of conflicts and superseding them, dealing with conflicts in a way that allows you to be successful. And it is not about compromise, but it's about making sure that you do it from the space of pureness, so that you will. So when you make an agreement, it's an agreement from the state of pureness that each win, and it's a really good space. So here is what it is in the Rider-Waite. So it's valor reformed. So you can see that there are those thoughts and feelings, and which are the ones, and ones is fire, and things that are there. And basically it's about being masterful over the thoughts. And you spoke today about the importance of making sure that you keep your energy high, making sure that you change your thoughts to be positive, that you choose to see the world as a universally free, a friendly universe. Yeah. These are all ways in which you manage to work in this realm. So yeah, that's quite an important one, which will be there. So it's learning to lead from not the false light, but the true light within.
Not from ego identity, but from essence.
Yes. Yes.
The other way of expressing it.
Yeah. So
we had her before the Venus of living fire.
Yes. We have had her before.
I remember very well, because I like her so very much, her inner fire.
Yes. But I like that it says, learn the practice of intensity. So it's really about how do you, one of the things we always talk about is enthusiasm. So be enthusiastic, learn the practice to be enthusiastic, because enthusiastic lights the fire. Yeah, it lights the inner fire, the inner glow, the inner source. And then you allow that psyche to blend so that you create a perfect partnership between your your love and the head and the heart. So, but all based well in your root, in your womb, in the womb of all. Yeah, very nice.
Famous Infinity 8, or like the Three Flames meditation by Leola. Exactly that. The womb, the heart, and the mind for me is like this highest mind is our intuition here, third eye. This is also outside of our ego mind. No, this is our highest, like it's like the pineal glands, like where we are really connected with the bigger mind, the consciousness.
Well, it's so interesting because I was there's a technique that is called a recapitulation technique, where they actually look at something that from the back of your mind, and they actually, and one of the things is really that our third eye, although we feel it here, it's actually at the connection between the cortex and the cerebellum. And the cerebellum has more nerves in it than than in our cerebrum. And the cerebellum is all to do with spatial mapping, this feeling of expanse and space, and how we are, proprioception, those kinds of things. And that's where they kind of think that where those two meet is kind of like the pure God state. So that's kind of like how our body and our mind all work together as one in that place, which is really quite interesting. Yeah,
very, very interesting. And this is where people experience their awakening.
Yeah,
it's like all glowing.
yes right.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like you say, it's biologically it's really not here in the front. You can see it in pictures. It's like more in the back there, like where it is found, isn't it? Well,
it's deep. It's deep within the psyche. It's not shallow. It's not going to sit there. It's in the head, and yeah, it's very. Now, what's calling me for this last one?
Wow, the eternal ruler one.
Well, my rulers always wear gold, so there's definitely going to be gold in this.
But I've got like a yellow goldish kind of foundation. It's a bit yellow. I think I will definitely bring in the rainbow snake.
Yes.
Around here.
I think the rainbow snake needs to be there, definitely.
So tomorrow here in Germany, we already celebrate Christmas. In England, it's on the 25th, from what I remember.
I think your Christmas, a lot of people don't celebrate Christmas Day, and I certainly know in Spain they do Christmas night. They don't do Christmas Day as such.
Well, usually it's here also the 24th in the evening, where the family gets together.
Well, it makes sense. Jesus was meant to be born at night.
Yeah.
We are celebrating the birth of Christ after all.
Exactly. Well, here it's still raining since Monday, but it is said that for about a week it's possible to see the Star of Bethlehem. So I'm still hoping it's going to clear up maybe someday this week. because I still want to see this star.
So do I. So do I. We'll see. Let's hope.
Yes, let's hope. And if not, it's there, or also outside of the seeing eye.
Yeah.
It's definitely
There are
there.
pictures, so we should be able to see it. We will see it.
And I look forward to see the Adrian, the light kid. He has been born on Lucia Day, which is like the biggest festival. Actually, it's even bigger than Christmas in Sweden. So he has been born on the 13th of December. So he's a true Lucia kid. We can't wait to see him tomorrow and to cuddle him.
Oh, nice. He's going to be a spoiled little baby, which is delicious.
Yeah, I think so. He will be very spoiled. My brother's already constantly sending such cute pictures. Well, I did tell them already as well, my dad and my brother. So they're still shocked as well about my news. And at the same time, we're all happy. It's one of those things in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
The crying and the laughing eye.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, bittersweet. Like one of my favorite herbs, cinnamon. Like this.
All right. Yeah, because you can sweeten your tea with cinnamon, can't you?
Yeah, and I bake lots with cinnamon. Is my favorite herb. But at the same time, it can also be bitter. It depends how you prepare it. It's a perfect herb for this bittersweet.
Morocco had, I remember going when I was in Morocco. Oh my goodness, everything had cinnamon in.
Yeah.
Did you find that when you were there? Everything seemed to have cinnamon in it.
Well, it was not something which like I observed very much because this is the land of herbs anyway.
Yeah.
And this is what I felt in love with as well, because it's like all those rainbow colors, herbs everywhere. And I used to love it, and the smell of it everywhere you go. This herbs is like, wow. It's like Fez is the town of herbs. Everywhere you go, you see them being made, and how it smells is just wonderful. So it didn't strike me that I remember particularly cinnamon there. I feel that it's more prominent here in Germany around Christmas because there I can smell it everywhere.
Yeah,
And one of my favorite movies, it's about cinnamon. It's called Zimt and Zucker. How this translates? It's a Greek movie, and it's translated cinnamon and sugar.
All right. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful movie. It's one of my favorite ones ever, and it's all about herbs. And it's this young boy who loves to go to his grandfather, who is like a herb kind of dealer. He has got his own herb shop.
Yeah.
And he explained him how the whole cosmos works and how love works through herbs. And through the love of herbs, it's such a magical movie. And I remember it was such a beautiful movie for him because this boy loses his mother. She dies. And then he really gets introduced into this magical world through his grandfather. And that's how he starts to understand how everything works in life. Yeah.
Yeah.
The interconnectedness of the whole cosmos to this love of the herbs. Oh, now when I just talking about it, I have to watch this movie again because it's one of the most beautiful movies ever. And one of my favorite cafes here, it's also called Zimt and Zucker. Cinnamon and sugar, like this
Sugar.
movie. I certainly love cinnamon. I always put it on apples and bananas. I think this is also going to be my herb for today of the eternal ruler.
Mm-hmm.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon, yum. I never used to like cinnamon much, but I've grown to like it more. I think I may have.
There's actually a quote. It's like women are like cinnamon. Can be sweet and bitter, like cinnamon.
And then what would men be like? I wonder if they were a herb. Basil, I think is often seems to be a masculine herb, doesn't it?
Basil.
Basil.
Oh, I like that with tomatoes.
Yes, basil's gorgeous.
Like fresh basil with tomatoes is like, wow, divine.
Heaven on earth. Heaven on earth, yes. Gosh, 14:59 and we're there already.
Yes. And I've actually got the foundation.
Good.
There she is. It's my eternal ruler.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mine's taking a little more time because
But she's not finished
working
yet.
with my gold thread is slightly different because it's like a chain actually. I'm doing a chain, but the thread itself, if you have a look, is like, can you see? It's like a chain, the thread.
Oh, but that's where the whole shining comes from.
Yeah, but there's a white thread that's through it, but it's a chain with yeah. So you've got to work quite gently with it. So
delicate.
Yeah, it's a delicate. Yeah, you just treat it differently. You've got to be quite, it curls up quite a lot. So I've got to hold it. It's kind of like if I had it on a stand, like we had when we bought our stands for doing our gold embroidery.
Oh yes, I remember.
Now, if I had the stand, it would be very much more simple because I have to use two hands one to put it down and then one to pick it up and touch, Anyway, but these are all challenges that we enjoy working with. They make it interesting.
Yes.
If it were easy, would it be worth doing? No. It wouldn't drive our soul to make us feel happy.
I mean, some things could be easy. It doesn't always have to be hard. What's an interesting question we can leave in the field? Would we do it if it would be so easy?
Well, we might do it, but yeah, what would it give us at the end of it? That's what I'd be curious about.
So it's time to say our last words. To bring the completion for this challenge of 27 Bereginis completion.
Yes.
Maybe some words for the new journey? If you got anything?
Well, the end is always the beginning.
Yes, that's
It's
true.
always the beginning. There is no end. There's just another level of beginning. That's my thoughts on the journey.
So there is no end. There's always a new beginning.
We're always, end and the beginning are exactly the same. They just jump an orbital, so to speak.
Yeah, for me, it's something similar. It's like this snake or like the eternal ruler. Like they contain it all. It's like the 9 contains all the lines, which are also in the web of weird, starting from nothingness, weird. The web of weird contains all the lines which make up the whole universe and the runes. And I think that's what the eternal ruler stands for. She has got like, I think, all the previous symbolism, foundations, dimensions. She holds it all in, or like the snake, she holds it all in. That's why, like, she holds the whole world in. And even though the 9 is then a completion, at the same time, it's automatically a new beginning, like you said as well. It's like a 0. The 0 is nothing, and at the same time, everything. And this is for me like the weird. So it's the weirding way continued. Yeah.
So we're looking forward to seeing everybody's Bereginis, and hopefully we'll see a few more that have done it in the interim, in their own time, when they have found the moment to do it. It's so nice to see them all.
That will be.
And again, it's like it's always about, it's the time is always the right time when you do it. And always be curious about, well, if you're doing it this time, what made it this time? What emerged that it arose to do it this time. I think that's always a very important thing to focus in on. What was arising.
Yeah, so that's why I also look forward to whenever people feel like sharing. It would be most wonderful. And it's time to just say thank you, big thank you. Who has been on the thread with us, weaving, and such a honor to weave together with you. And it feels like a circle from all different parts of the world, women weaving the thread. And it's not the end. It's and something new is emerging, and I hope we can stay on the thread and never lose the thread.
We'll be on the thread. We'll definitely be on the thread, and
we will definitely be on the thread. Yes.
We're on the thread. We're set for threading.
Threading and weaving and co-creation. Yeah, and it's just continuous. In whatever way or form, we just stay on the thread and see what is happening. What is emerging. Yeah.
So, well, thank you for weaving with me and for chatting. And 27 days, it's been really lovely and amazing. And maybe we'll be doing this next time. I don't know if we'll be doing it again at Christmas time or whether we would do it again in the middle of the year, but it'll be really interesting to see what comes up for us and what starts to happen. What weaves through us as the journey goes.
Well, thank you as well. Like I love the quote, begin to weave and then divine will provide the thread. So thank you for the co-creative weaving
Yeah.
and holding
Pleasure.
space for whatever has been emerging, for witnessing everything. Thank you very much. And everybody else who is on the
Yeah.
phone. So keep on weaving.
Yes, we'll be in the group anyway. So we'll be looking and seeing and following your journeys too. So that will be very nice to kind of observe.
So
Take
bye
care.
for now.
Bye-bye.
And until we see each other again.
Yes, adieu.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Oh, happy Christmas.
Oh, yeah, I've already